This episode is sponsored by the Living Your Vision course for creating your optimal life. This course is for creating and fulfilling your dream. Make your dreams your reality instead of a someday idea. Set your vision for your life in motion. Move from trying to be just a little bit better and shift to deliberately creating the life you want at the level you want. Most people are not purposely thinking small. They just have never considered or allowed themselves to think bigger or even on an epic level. Even big thinkers, perhaps you're one of them, often say, I just don't have time to devote to developing a detailed vision of how I want my life to be. What's stopping you from creating your vision the way you really want it? What if you let go of anything that is stopping or blocking you? What if you stepped into your creative zone and designed a compelling vision that drove all of your daily habits and decisions? You can check out the Living Your Vision course at sherikayhoff.com. That's SHERIKAYEHOFF.com. And you'll want to go to the coaching and courses tab.
Hello, and welcome to the Sheri Kaye Hoff Show. Sheri here, and this is where we talk about living joyfully in your life and business. So I'm so excited about my guest here today. I feel like we have a real soul connection. We've got that, high vibey, inner peace kind of thing going on. So I'm really excited to be talking to her. I want to tell you about her. Kelly Moser she has the business Kelly Moser Coaching and Consulting. And she is an aligned success coach and consultant for big-hearted entrepreneurs who want to build paradigm-shifting legacies with ease and joy. She's a former corporate and startup strategist and operator who underwent a life-changing spiritual awakening on her healing journey through PTSD. She now combines grounded spirituality, neuroscience, and strategy in her work and is passionate about helping every leader find the most aligned approach for them. She lives in New York City with her husband-to-be and her sweet and anxious rescue dog. Hi, Kelly. It's so great to have you here. How are you?
Sheri, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor. I'm doing really, really well. I'm so grateful to be able to connect with you. And when I found your show, it felt like an instant soul connection for me too. So I'm just thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Oh, that's so great. I was just thinking about your anxious rescue dog. We have an anxious rescue dog too.
Do you?
Yeah, we've had her for 3 years now. We got her as a puppy, but she almost didn't make it. Before we got her, she had parvo. She had everything you could imagine. And she's just the best dog now. And I can't imagine life without her. So gotta love those rescue dogs.
They're the best. They all have their quirks, but they give you the most love. They're just so happy to be loved. It's so sweet.
Yeah, I think ours, the only way that you can tell is she's a little bit reactive, so we're trying to get her out of that. But I don't know, something really traumatic must have happened in the first few weeks of her life.
Oh,
so
poor thing.
Yeah. But
she's lucky to have you.
Yeah, we love her. So okay, let's just dive right in. I love everything that you're standing for and what you're doing. So how about if we start with talking about your healing journey?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So my dad very tragically and traumatically passed when I was just a baby, and I didn't know anything about my nervous system at the time. I didn't know, that healing requires you to be really integrated with your whole body. I didn't realize that once, even if you emotionally process something, that your body can still be very much in a dysregulated state. So I actually lived the first 20 years of my life with PTSD, and I had no idea because it was just my normal. And what else did I know? It's just, I thought everyone acted and thought and felt the same way that I did all the time. And then when I was in my early 20s, I really started to recognize that what I experienced on a day-to-day basis wasn't normal. I was experiencing levels of anxiety that I started to recognize people around me weren't experiencing. And I, decided to start investigating and healing from everything that had, happened throughout my life that I had just never, I didn't know that you were supposed to sit with your emotions. I didn't know that you were supposed to feel things as deeply and fully as you could. I was always the overachiever who was just looking to move on to the next thing. And that was my way of coping with all of my stress and anxiety, was just doing and achieving. So I got really interested in learning about my brain because I recognized that I had kind of a special brain given everything that I had experienced in my life, and started to learn about the nervous system, started to really fall in love with meditation. That was like the first relief I had had my whole life, was when I started meditating. And it was just so beautiful. So I became really passionate about helping other people work through their own healing journeys, specifically using meditation as a really powerful tool for healing. And at the same time, that overachiever in me was still going. So I had a really wonderful career as a startup strategist and operator, working in the corporate world as well. And when I finally was in a place where I felt like I could make my own decisions in my life and that my trauma and my anxiety was no longer running my life, I started my own business. And now what I do is really blend the best of both of those worlds: the spiritual side of me that loves meditation, talk about the universe and spirit and angels and guides, and the part of me that is that kind of right brain startup strategist that I will always be too. But really coming into my spirituality was absolutely key on my healing journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, there's so much to unpack there. And I think, for people listening to just understand that awareness moment of, hey, other people aren't, this is not like a normal. It might be normal for me, but it's that breakthrough of there can be a different way. I love that. Love that. So you talk about how to embrace a mindset of experimentation. What is that?
Oh my gosh. The first few years in my business, I was very emotionally attached to everything that I did. I wanted every launch to be a wild success. I wanted every client to have the most amazing results. Of course, naturally, because that's what we want. We want to experience success, and we think that success is this portal that we'll experience joy through. And I was starting to realize that not everything in my business is going to be a smashing success the first time. There's going to be a lot that I have to learn. And honestly, as an overachiever, I was used to things coming really easily for me my whole life. And this was kind of the first time in my life where I felt some resistance, where I wasn't immediately good at everything right away, which was frustrating. And it started to cause a lot of, self-doubt, resistance. Can I do this? Am I good enough to do this? And eventually I got so tired of feeling like I was on an emotional roller coaster every single day in my business as a coach and a healer and a consultant, that I said, you know what? What if I just treated this like an experiment, and everything that I did, I completely detached myself from the outcome? What if I could make myself a scientist in my business and really create a level of separation between my business and me? Because at the time, there was no boundary between my business and me. It was, if something went wrong in my business, I took it as a personal failure. And it was really, really hard to just kind of emotionally bounce back from that time after time after time. Because if you're listening to this and and you have a business, you know that there are days when it's hard. You know that there are days when you're confused. And I think some people make it look so easy on the internet, and it's just not always the reality. So I realized that the moment that you choose to look at your business as a science experiment instead of a soap opera, which is how I was previously looking at my business, like everything was so dramatic, highs and lows. And I said, if I choose to look at this like a science experiment instead, I'm going to open up new channels of creative thinking and divine guidance and resilience that I didn't even know were possible. And so that's a huge tenet, a huge value that I share with my clients is, how can you detach from the outcome and embrace a spirit of experimentation? Because you might be surprised at the things that end up working.
hmm Also, I feel like with that attitude of experimenting, of just doing and trying, sometimes the big win is learning how something doesn't work.
Absolutely.
And you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to wonder anymore. I tried that, and that really, it's like, you can take that off your plate. Then that part doesn't work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I always think about Thomas Edison trying to figure out how to light up a light bulb. And I can't remember how many materials he tried to, the filament of a light bulb. And finally but he had such an experimental, because he's a scientist, he had an experimental attitude. It was every single thing that I try that doesn't work is a win, because I know I don't have to try it again. Exactly to your point.
And it's really freeing, because there's really nowhere in life where you're really given that freedom, because like, even when you think of school, like you've got measurables and objectives, and you have a test and you have to study for it and it's measured. Did you get an A, a B, a C? It's not that freedom of it's okay for something not to work, and that there are actually problems in life. What used to drive me crazy in school were the math problems that weren't solvable. And the teacher would never tell you they weren't solvable.
Mm-hmm.
And I was one of those completionists that would just spend hours and hours and hours. But the lesson was that sometimes it's not.
Yep.
And it's good to embrace that. I really like to have an attitude in my business and my life of embrace everything. Embrace the mistakes, embrace even the disappointing things, even the heartbreaks. When I start to go down that road of I don't know, not feeling so good about something, I'd say, well, what if I embrace this? What would that look like? Now, that doesn't mean I ignore it, but or push it down, but it's like it's like I'm taking it all in, the good, the bad, the ugly, the spectacular, and just living this gorgeous life.
Absolutely. And then there's no resistance, right? If everything in your life that comes your way is welcome, then you find yourself not resisting anything. And it's much easier to work with life than against it, I've found too.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too how things work out. Like yesterday, I'm working on a new course, and and it just happened to be a day that I was at the salon, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to record all my videos. And then it just didn't work out. And when I went to sleep, I was kind of feeling like, okay, did I really win the day because I didn't do that recording piece? And then when I got up, Lead Pages was down site wide. So had I recorded and got everything loaded up and been ready to send out my my emails, it would have been links that didn't work.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. So I feel like that was a little divine guidance there, and that's again a reminder to embrace everything.
For
instead
sure.
Instead of agonize. There's a reason why it just didn't work out yesterday.
Always. And sometimes we'll find out why. Like sometimes we'll realize, I get it now. It's because all these links would have been broken if I had sent them out. And sometimes we don't find out why. And that can be frustrating, but it happens too. And sometimes all you have to do is say, well, I'm going to trust that even if I can't see why this happened, someone's guiding me, someone, somewhere, something is looking out for me. And yeah, that requires a little bit of faith.
Yeah, I think faith and trust, it's like the protective umbrella, because when you're in that place, I don't know, for me, it just frees up my action steps, when I'm just in that place of just having faith and trust really in life, So you also say that there are two that you're going to share with us, 2 brain hacks to activate brilliant problem solving. What are those?
Yes. So the first one that I would love to share with you is the idea of giving yourself the opportunity to find the answer for yourself, which sounds really simple, but so many of us are so used to outsourcing our solutions to our problems. We go to Google, we go to a friend, We go to, the members of our mastermind to look for help. We go to our coaches, we go to our therapists. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't lean on those people and feel uplifted by the support that they can offer us. But I've learned through working with many people that the brain that has the question has the best answer to that question. The brain that has the problem has the best solution to that problem. So what I like to do, and what I encourage my clients to do, is to tell yourself, there isn't a solution to this. It's in my head. It exists. I know it's in there. Because I think we spend a lot of energy and time wondering if there is a solution, wondering if we can figure this out. Go into a problem-solving session, go into a self-coaching session with the absolute certainty that there is a solution to the problem that you have. Absolutely. There is an answer, and it exists right now in your head. Sometimes other people can provide a really helpful sounding board and, guide system to help you access it, but know that it's already in there. And when you know that it's already in there, it just frees up this amazing, it fuses some circuitry in your brain together, and it makes you get to the problem faster. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is what I like to call taking the sunroof off of your brain. So really allowing yourself to think without limitations. When we're creatively trying to solve a problem, we tend to look immediately for the solution. So we've established that there is a solution. Then we assume that the first thing we think of is the best solution that we can possibly think of. And often that's not true. I know that for some of us intuitive folks who really lean on our intuition, we like to feel into, we'll feel into the first thing we think of. And sometimes it doesn't feel totally like the right path for us to go down. And the power of just brainstorming, of giving yourself the opportunity to think about possible potential options, potential solutions, potential answers to your question for 20 to 30 minutes without any obligation to land on the answer at all is really, really liberating. And it's going to help you really jumpstart a creative thinking process. So typically what we do when we're trying to solve problems is we'll say, well, what about this? That's the first thing. The first thing we come up with is usually the thing that we try to run with. If you just give yourself 10 minutes to write down anything, 10, 20, 30 minutes to write down absolutely any possible solution, even if it feels absolutely ridiculous, even if you're like, I know that this is not feasible, this isn't the right answer, this isn't the right path or the right choice for me, just write it down on paper, because the best choice might end up being a variation of that ridiculous one. And you won't know, or it might be a combination of, the second thing you write down and the 35th thing you write down. So give yourself the opportunity to think without trying to land on the answer first. So those are my two tips for better problem solving and stronger creative thinking.
Yeah, I like that. And I don't think I've ever heard it quite said the way that you have talked about it. So I love it because it gives people a different way to think about thinking or think about problem solving. I really like that. And it's so true. I remember I was at a conference and, the whole conference was about creative thinking. And then at the end, we had to get together in our groups and, discuss, our thoughts about how the weekend had gone. Every single group pulled their chairs into a circle. And, and they, of course, they brought it up, they said, here we've been talking about being outside the box, and every single group pulled their chair into a circle. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it just shows how much we just kind of go on, oh yeah, we're all going to talk, let's sit in a circle.
Right.
People could have gone outside. We could have, they didn't put any rules on how we could have this discussion. And so I always think of that when, when I'm really looking for something kind of new and fresh. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So, tell me more a little bit about, your business and how you work with people. And, I feel like the sense that our listeners just kind of want to know more about you.
Of course. Thank you for asking. Well, one thing about me is that I'm getting married in 3 weeks and I'm really excited about it finally. So that's kind of been taking up, and that's the beautiful thing about having a business too, is being able to take time for things like family, like big life events, and just shuffle your time around a little bit. When I reflect back on working in the startup world, I was working 70 hours a week every single week. And so I know that life of burnout and exhaustion and, well, when am I ever going to be able to get off this train? I just can't, it's not sustainable for me. So that informs a lot of the work that I do with my clients now, is helping them not, to your point, repeat patterns that they unconsciously or subconsciously might just default to because we didn't realize we have a choice, right? I noticed about myself and my own business when I was starting out that I was really copy and pasting a lot of just the programming, the habits, the behaviors, the mindset that I used to have to operate on in my other roles, because I just didn't know that anything else was possible. I didn't know there was any other alternative. And so I created a business that put me into burnout pretty fast because it was all I knew. So a large part of what I do with my clients is making sure that the business that you are growing is really intentional and is really aligned for you. So I really encourage people and coach them into building businesses around your strengths and building businesses that are unique to you. You don't have to have the same, standard offer suite that everyone else has. You can make your business absolutely, literally whatever you want. I like to say that there's absolutely no business model that doesn't work, but there's only going to be a few that are going to work for you. There are people who sell 75-cent toothbrushes. There are people who sell $1 million masterminds, and both can be equally successful. There's just so many. And I really feel very privileged that I have this kind of unique lens into different kinds of businesses, from working for a startup that was in the health and wellness space, and then working for a major retailer in their buying office. So I've seen kind of the ins and outs of a variety of different kinds of businesses. And I can tell you that everything works. Like it's not, the secret recipe isn't finding the one business model that works. They all work, but they're not all going to work for you. And I think what I see a lot in the online space is a lot of kind of copy and pasting, a lot of cookie cutter, here, buy this business model, here, buy this, exact framework, and copy and paste it right onto your business. And it's going to work for you because it works for all my clients. And I think that there's just so much nuance that needs to be introduced when we're talking about something as personal as a business, when we're talking about something as complex and multifaceted and multi-passionate as a human being. Like, no two people have the same lived experience. No two people have the exact same strengths. So I kind of think that no two businesses should look exactly alike. And I really encourage my clients to be brave and blaze a trail, break the status quo, do something different, disrupt your industry, take a point of view that you're not hearing a lot of people talk about if it really means something to you, if it aligns with your values, and don't just do what everyone else is doing. And that, to me, is really the most important thing that I can share, is when you find yourself just following someone else's advice, following someone's, program step by step to a T without making it yours at all. When you're, just filming reels that are all the trending audios and you're not putting your own spin on anything, you are abandoning yourself and you're not allowing for your authentic self to shine. And I think there's a real need for that right now. I think people are hungry for more authenticity. They're hungry for more originality, more creativity, when it comes to what businesses are offering, because a lot of it looks the same. And I think there is a little bit of fatigue there around, oh, this again, oh, this kind of person talking about this. And okay, sometimes you can even almost predict exactly what someone's going to offer. If you go to their website and you just know it's going to be this and this and this, and this is going to be the price, and it feels so predictable. And right. I think that as we learn more about this space, because it's so new, I mean, we're creating this kind of online world of business as we go. We're building the plane while we're flying it at the same time. But I think I see a trend towards more authenticity, less of a cookie cutter approach, more nuance, and more of people just standing in their magic and saying, you know what, I'm not good at that other thing that she's really good at. And that's okay. I'm going to be good at the thing that I'm really good at. And I'm going to use the avenues of communication that feel really good to me. And I'm going to lean into my strength. I don't like being on video. Okay, I'm going to do a podcast, right? I think there are these set of rules that we think we all need to be following. And really you don't. There's no one size fits all approach to running your business. And there's nothing that can't work for you if you're really good at it and you're really passionate about it. So that's kind of the lens that I work with my clients through, is the consulting piece. So helping you figure out exactly what strategy feels aligned for you, and then coaching you on that strategy, because of course there's mindset drama that comes up. Of course there are energetic blocks that come up. Of course there's worthiness stuff and money mindset stuff and all of that, we all need support with, and I need support with it too. So kind of that twofold approach of, all right, let's figure out where you're going, how you're going to get there. And then let's coach you through it every step of the way, so that you never feel like you have to just, freeze, fight, flight, or freeze. So you can just keep the joyful momentum moving forward in your business and grow to the extent that you want to grow it to. You don't have to create $1 million business if you don't want to. You don't have to create a 6-figure business if you don't want to. I want people to create exactly what they want that's going to light them up, and let them do the work that they love, and let them live the life that they love too.
Yes. Yes. There's a difference. Like, if someone is trying to learn a software, that's different than, like coming up with the backbone and framework of your business. And and there are some people who are looking for that ABC, tell me, I've had people tell me that before, just tell me exactly what to do and I'll do it to make this amount of money. And that isn't how I work either. It's fully customized and fully dialed into who the person is and what their gifts are, and, what fits and what they enjoy. And I love that there are business coaches out there like you and me and, some of my colleagues who have that, don't look to other people for the answers, learn how to look within and get the support to help you look within, and get the support to help you, kind of unpack what it is that's there. I think there's a lot to what you just said, and so important for people to realize that they don't have to try to be anybody else.
I learned that the hard way in my business too. I spent a lot of money on this program, and that program with the exact 25,000 steps to XYZ. And I realized that at first I didn't realize that I could take some of it and leave some of it and make it my own. I was very kind of fixated on, well, this person is having all this success and this is the exact framework that they're following, so I need to follow it exactly too. And I realized that it was just not working for me. And I had to let that be okay, because that's the only way I was going to figure out, like we talked about earlier, what does work for me is sometimes by figuring out what doesn't work for you perfectly.
I always tell my people, learn the marketing rules, learn, basic foundations of business, so then you can go break all the rules.
I love that.
Yeah. But I think, like in the beginning, when you're like, I have no idea, it's good to have, like a framework
Definitely.
to work within, and then make it your own. Yeah.
Definitely. Yes.
So how can people get in touch with you? Oh, I also wanted you to talk about, you have a really unique free offering. It's your Tiger's Eye.
Yes. Yes. So before I started mentoring and coaching business owners, I was really focused on my spiritual offerings, my healing offerings, specifically around meditation and journaling. So really helping people get in touch with the highest version of themselves through those modalities. And so I created this really awesome membership that is jam-packed with all like hundreds of meditations, daily journal prompts that come out every month, expert-led workshops. So workshops led by people other than me. So there's a huge variety of astrology to human design, to Reiki, to trauma healing. It's all, I bring in the best of the best people. And when I launched my podcast in March, my podcast is called The Aligned Success Show. And I promised my community that if we broke into the Apple charts in our first week, if we broke the top 20, I think I said top 20 in our subcategory on Apple's charts, that I would make the membership free for everyone forever. And we did it. So now the membership is totally free. If you go to work.kellymoser.com/tigers -I is pretty long, tigers, TIGERS, no apostrophe -EYE. You can sign up and it's totally free. And it's a resource that will be free for everyone forever. And it's just jam-packed with really amazing soul care resources that I think especially entrepreneurs need. So yeah, that's my offering that I would just love for anyone who's listening to take advantage of.
So is that the best way for people to get in touch with you, is to go through that program, or do you want to direct people to your website? Please share that with us.
Yeah, for sure. Instagram is the best place to get in touch with me, actually. So I'm at Kelly, KELLY .Moser, MOSSER, and I'm on Instagram all the time. So you're welcome to send me a message, and I would love to learn a little bit more about you and would love to just be able to connect.
So we've talked about a lot here. So what are the one or two ideas that you'd like people to leave here? Like if they could just implement it right away to make the biggest difference, what would you like people to leave here today with?
I love this question. The one thing that I would really love for people to walk away with is this question: how can I be more experimental in my business? How can I look at whatever I'm working on right now, whether it's a launch or rolling out a new program or a new software that you're trying out? How can I approach this in a more experimental way where the outcome doesn't mean as much about me personally? How can I just let the outcome be what it is and learn to iterate on it and try again next time with making any adjustments that I've learned I need to make?
Well, that's a powerful thing to leave people with. So thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate your time here today. I know that people will have probably taken pages of notes while they've been listening. And I want to tell everyone listening to have a great morning, afternoon, evening, no matter where you are in the world. I love you. Reach out to me at SheriKayHoff.com if you have any questions or comments. That's SherikayeHoff.com. Thank you, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.